Important. Let me try again. Take two. So again, Ray, throughout his career in sales and marketing, he has helped organizations grow using technology. Early in his career, he brought an XT which I know, and using database software, built a lead tracking system to make himself more efficient. But when he first joined Rotary, he was one of the first Rotarians in his district to use Facebook and began teaching others how to use it to promote themselves and their club. But when the district was looking for a new district website, he was asked to lead the committee, which selected a vendor, set it up, and his committee also helped the clubs learn to use their site. But today, Ray will be discussing using technology to strengthen your club. And a few personal cool facts about Ray. Ray is the problem solver in Fire West Pets. When you go to training, he's always running around, taking care of all the fires that come up with tech and non-tech things alike. He joined Rotary in 2007. He's the president of his club in 2010, 2011, and he also served as district governor for District 5180 in 2019 and 2020. Now, his Rotary classification is employee benefits, and he is the president of Legacy Benefits and Insurance Services, helping small to medium-sized businesses create comprehensive and cost-effective benefit packages. And he's all the way up in Sacramento over there. He has been married for almost 27 years and has a beautiful married daughter. In his spare time, Ray enjoys listening to music, which I didn't know that he was a huge Parrothead fan. Parrothead, which is fan of Jimmy Buffett. And he has seen Jimmy Buffett so many times he can't remember, but he knows that he's probably seen him like 11 different locations, including Madison Square Garden and Hollywood Bowl. So thank you, Ray Ward, for being here, and aloha, my friend. Oh, sorry, Ray. Let me see here.
I got myself on mute. Aloha, Lane, and glad you didn't say about any of the things that we've done together at many zone events that we've done, like the Young Professionals event or many times at PATS. So I'm glad you kept all those things secret. So today I want to talk about using technology to help strengthen your club. Jennifer was talking about a lot of stuff that I'll be talking about too. I think that what you'll hear from me is just a little different take on how to do that. But she was right. We got to expand the marketplace and stuff like that. And we talked about it. So today I'm going to talk a little bit on why you should be using technology. I'm going to talk a little bit about marketing, which is not really a term you hear used in Rotary, but I think is the most important term. And then just quickly a little bit about hybrid meetings. So why should you use technology? Well, I think in today's life, we know that we're all using technology for all kinds of stuff. We all have cell phones. We have that. We run through database. We collect data that way. And if you use it and implement it into what you're doing with Rotary, you can expand your reach out there to more people. So I think that's one of the first things. Before I actually get into the technology portion, we should talk a little bit about marketing. And I think one of the things that we don't think about or we don't talk about enough, and I think that Jennifer was alluding to it, was increasing the pool. And what happens is, if we just look at our members and think that they're going to bring in a couple of their friends and they only have one friend and half of them bring it in, it's not going to necessarily grow our club over the years because we have that limited pool of people that were going out. So one of the things you can do with technology, you can really increase that pool and bring your message out to a larger group of people. And if you get that larger group of people, you only need a small percentage of them to participate in Rotary in order for you to be very successful and have a club that's constantly growing. Now, she mentioned a little bit about DEI. I think that, we should look at it too, but I think you got to look at it a little differently. I think it's just, does your club really match your community? Because that's the community that you're really trying to get into that pool. Most Rotary clubs I've gone to are even today, heavily male oriented. So I know that in most communities, adult females make up 50+% of the population. So that's just a place that you can take the DEI concept and take it out there and use it into your community and make your club stronger. But there's all kinds of other stuff. When you look at those data, look at the data and see how your club reflects the community. If it doesn't, maybe you need to find out some other ways. Age is one of those areas. I have to agree totally with Jennifer. You don't jump from a club that has mainly 70 and 80-year-olds to bring in a bunch of younger people. In most cases, they're not going to feel comfortable. So if you step down, like she was talking about, I think that's a great way of doing it. But I think the number one way that you increase your pool is by making sure you show that you have interest with people in your community that they may want to learn more about. So whether it's working with the schools, whether it's doing some other type of project in your community, if you can gather a lot of your population that says, hey, that's a great thing, we need to know more about Rotary, then you're going to increase your pool. Bottom line, if she's right, you have to be welcoming in order for your club to be successful and being strong. So when we're looking at marketing, this is where it might take maybe a little bit different than some of the things she was saying, is I believe that we are an event-driven organization. Everything we do in Rotary is an event, whether it's doing community service, whether it's putting on a fundraiser, whether it's your meetings, you are putting on events and you need to market those events. You might have seen what they call the Rotary Donut. And if you've seen this before, you've seen that they talk about membership, foundation, and public image or branding. I think of it a little bit differently. So when I think about members, I don't think about just people that are on our rolls, not those people we just brought in, not the people we induct, but all the people that are supporting our club. So when you're thinking about members, are you thinking about the people that give stuff to your club for the fundraisers, the stuff that we're auctioning off and things like that? Are you thinking about the people that may want to come out and just work at your community service project that has no interest in actually being part of the organization? Or maybe people that will just enjoy coming to the meetings? You got to look at all those people because those are important people you're going to be marketing to throughout the life of your club. And then instead of looking at foundation, which our foundation is great, but normally when you think of foundation, you're looking at big projects. You're not, but you should be looking at all the projects because that's where you're going to get that connection with that bigger pool of people. For example, my club recently, we painted the Boys and Girls Club buildings at a local school. How much did it cost us? $0. We had to use no foundation funds. They provided the paint, we provided the people. We brought our ladders, we brought our paintbrushes and stuff like that. So there was no cost, but it's still community service and it could connect with people out there in the community. And then again, you got to market all these things. So as you look at the donut, if you have these members out there that are supporting your club, you show them that you're doing the community service out there, you're marketing that, more people are going to want to become members of your club, which means you're going to be able to do bigger and better community service projects, which have more to market, and so on and so forth, and just keep going around and around. And how can you market? Well, an easy way is using your website and using social media. So how do you market using these platforms? First of all, you have to think of before the event actually happens. So, when we have a fundraiser, we're often thinking about, we got to put out a flyer, we got to put it on the website, we got to do that. So you need to do that for all your events. Are you doing that with your community service? Are you doing that with your meetings? Letting people know prior to the event that they're out there. Then during the event, you have stuff to show the people. During a fundraiser, you showing all the great projects so people will reach in their pocket, pull out more money and saying, I want to support that. At a work project, do you have information that people can learn more about your club, know when you meet, and possibly come by and join you for a meal? And then afterwards, are you marketing that, how great a time it was, what you did, what you accomplished, and make sure that people knew it. And again, when you're marketing, you're not just marketing to potential new members, you're marketing to your current members. So all those people that are supporters, you want to show them how much fun you're having, what was going on. So maybe they'll show up to the next one if they didn't show up to the last one. Because marketing is all about people that are out there shopping. You know, when you think about it today, my wife and I, we go out to dinner once a week. We have a date night every week, and we often shop new restaurants. We go out, look at what the reviews are, look at their menu and stuff like that. That's before we ever walk in there. Same thing with the other things we're doing. People are doing that to you in your clubs. If you have a website and social media that doesn't really show what you're doing, inspires them to want to know more, then why should they? They can go out. And I'll give you a perfect example. I was just looking at joining in the social club just recently, and I went out, found their website, and I noticed that most of their stuff, their newsletters, their calendar didn't have any dates on it. And I thought, you know, I still kind of interested. So I ended up emailing them and saying, are you guys still in existence? And they got back to me, and I'll tell you, after hearing a little bit more, I'm not sure that they did it because, again, they're not showing they're really doing anything. They kind of say it, but, you know, a lot of people want to see some proof. So using social media, you know, I hear a lot of different things about social media, but I do go and try to check on an annual basis on some of the reports that shows how social media is being used out there. You know, Facebook, most people think is the #1 site that's being used, but it's actually YouTube. And I know that my club hasn't really figured out how to do it really efficiently, but we should be looking at YouTube as a way, because far and away now, that's becoming the most popular social media site out there. After that, of course, Facebook is the most popular. I hear a lot of times people saying, well, we got to use Instagram. And because that's what all the young people are using. Well, I agree that if you're trying to attract that age group of 18 to 29, which I don't think is necessarily a strong point for most clubs, but if that's the age group you're going at, or if you're already at a club, Instagram is a little bit more popular than Facebook. But in all the other age group, Facebook is. So if you have people that can do both, I would say do both. But if you only have enough staff or enough people in your club that are willing to do something on one area, I would use Facebook. Because as you can see that outside of that 18 to 29, Facebook is much more popular than any of the other sites. So what do you want to market? When I used to run the social media site for my previous club, what I would do is I have a goal of doing 5 posts a week. 1 a day, no more than 1 a day unless there was a special circumstance, but 5 different posts. People might go, wow, that seems like a lot. But not necessarily when you break it down. So we met on Mondays. So every Friday I put a post and invited people to the meetings. If we were dark, I would put that out there. If we were going to be at a different location, I put that information out there. Then on the day of the event of our meetings, we actually use Facebook Live. So people could check us out. That would be 2 posts for the week. If we had a community service project, we'd put that on there. That'd be a 3rd post. If we had a fundraiser coming up, you know, of course, we would have sometime when we have the flyer and the information on how to buy tickets. As we had big sponsors, we would post them. Of course, at the event, we would show how much fun our event was and what people had missed. And then when we didn't have those things to do that, we would do things like I always did a quote of the week. Every week I'd post a quote. That gave me a minimum of 3 things to have in a slow week. If it was a holiday, I would put out something for the holiday. And then for those times when, again, I didn't have anything to put out, I'd go out to the Rotary site, share something from them, or maybe End Polio Now, or something like that, and I'd post something else. And I almost never had a hard time finding 5 things to put in there in a week. Now, the one thing is you don't necessarily want to put a lot of stuff in one day, because if you start bombarding people too much, sometimes they leave you. So if you have something like doing community service project in the morning and you have a social in the evening, yeah, that's okay. So because that's going to happen that very often. But try to limit to that, but keep it out there so people know that you're there and you're active. The thing you don't want to do, if you look at the picture on the left, this is a club in the Midwest someplace that I like their page. And you can see this is a picture you probably don't want to show. They're all proud they had this speaker there with who was some politician. But if you look, everybody looks bored, including the speaker. That's not going to attract a lot of people to your club. So make sure if you're taking pictures, take a look at it. On the picture on the right here, as you can see, you should also make sure how you're framing pictures, because sometimes what it says is not really what you're intending it to be. And finally, I want you to think, when you're thinking about marketing, I want you to think about all the stuff that's out there. You know, do you have your meeting information on there? I mentioned it before, but if you're dark, do you tell people? Do you post that out? If you're meeting at a different location, are you letting them know? Because do you think someone's going to come back if they walk into an empty room the first time they try to join one of your meetings? Maybe, maybe not. But it doesn't make a great first impression either way. How about future events? You probably know way in advance when your fundraiser is going to be. Or maybe when you have an incredible speaker, usually you need to book those quite a ways in advance. Do you have them on your sites so people know about them and people can plan to join you for those type of things? How about service projects? Are you putting your service projects out there so people know that they can join and have them a way of clicking to sign up to participate? And then again, are you showing to have some fun? You know, I think that fun is a number one thing. You know, Jennifer was talking about having good meetings, but they have to be fun. And I think you got to show that people have to see it in your pictures, in your videos, that this is a place that you can not only do good in your community, but have fun doing it. And then that other thing, to get that wider pool of people, is why would the people on the other end show up? Think about that. We know why we, as Rotarians, will show up. And you know, I'm one of those guys that is kind of a knucklehead for Rotary meetings. I go to clubs all the time. If my club's going dark, I'll probably make up someplace, not because you have to, but because I want to. And I show up at meetings all the time. But I may not be that target audience to get that bigger pool of people in there. Why would those people that are not coming to your meetings? Why are those people that don't know about Rotary? How about those people that have the wrong perception of Rotary? Why would they want to know more about you? So make sure that information is available, and there's reason they're going to go, you know, I want to know more about Rotary. Oh, I thought it was only men. I thought it was only business people, whatever. I thought I had to get dressed up. Well, of course, in Hawaii, you guys never get dressed up like we do in some areas, but just think about that. Have those whys in there. Answer those questions with that, so you have an opportunity to talk to those people. You know, when we were running, when I was running a lot of this marketing for my previous clubs, it was surprising how many people would just walk in and saying, you know what, I saw you on your website, or I saw you on Facebook, so I just decided to show up. And that was great, because we didn't have to worry about that, because that was that extended pool that we didn't even know we were reaching. So really try to build up your Facebook presence. This previous club I was talking about, we actually had more likes for our page than the district did. We had like 3,000 likes. Some of them were local, some of them from all over the world. But it gave us a thing, and it showed, we always wanted to show that we were active. Jennifer also had mentioned a little bit about the successful clubs and how over 50% of them, I think she said it was 80 or 68%, were doing hybrid meetings. this is another thing I think is really important. And if you're not doing it, you should consider it. But I'm going to also give you at the end some reasons why, or that you should be considering. So why should you be doing it? You know, we got forced into using Zoom because of the pandemic. Because, you know, Rotarians always had that desire to be friendly and talking with people and being very social. So we couldn't do it in person. So what did we do? We went to the next best thing. But we also had thought about, you know, yeah, that was great for then, but let's go back to regular meetings. So a lot of clubs did that. But what I want you to think about is how the mindset has changed about the whether it's your members or the public in general. You know, how many of your members are may work at home now, where previously they had to go into the office every day? You know, my wife and daughter, they both work half-time at home and half-time they have to go in the office. So that's a change. That's a different lifestyle than we had before the pandemic. So the benefits of having a hybrid meeting was one is memory retention. Because again, people were used to doing things from their home that they didn't necessarily do before, and they still want that feedback. They still want to participate, but they just want to do it in a different way. Second thing, the speakers. Jennifer, I forgot where she was from. I know Corey's, I believe, from Arizona. After I'm speaking, I'm from Sacramento. So you can bring them in from, bring speakers in from any place in the world into your meetings. And that gives you more variety that you can get, because speakers are an important part of a Rotary meeting, because it's a way that we can learn stuff. And again, another way that we can attract people, because if you have great people coming in and talking to you, people want to hear that. People want knowledge. They want to grow their knowledge base. And if you can bring somebody in that has that expertise, wow, that's going to be, again, another good thing for your membership, another great member retention tools. And then the other thing is for new members, because people can come in and shop you again. And this way they can shop you and see what kind of people are there, what you guys are talking about, what you're doing. Most of the time we have parts of our club meeting, we're talking about future events, and all those things can be shared with the public by them clicking in. And it's whether you do it by Zoom or do it by Facebook Live, if you have that information out there and people can join you on it, you will be surprised who will show up. One of the surprises I have is I had a club that was actually doing Facebook Live before the pandemic. And it was just kept year by year growing on us, that pretty soon we had people from all over the world that were attending our meetings. There was a gentleman in India, and I don't even know how he found us, but he was almost there every week. He'd send us comments saying, you know, I'm here from, and he'd say his club and it says, you know, and he would make little comments about it. We had a person from Southern California, it's probably 300 to 500 miles away from our club, and he was joining us every week. We had people from Asia, all over the United States, just coming in and joining us. And a lot of times they'd ask us questions. We'd talk about how we were doing things. And it was just really cool to see that people wanted to know more about our little club and a little community here in the Sacramento area. If you do that, and then you market that out there, people want to know. I know that again, I'm kind of a knucklehead, but I go out there and I attend meetings all the time online. If it just pops up, I'll go and watch it, and sometimes they're pretty interesting, especially from different parts of our country. But with this, there's a caution that I have for you. People today have a lot of things, a lot of choices in entertainment, and they're used to electronic entertainment, whether it's on their cell phones, whether it's, you know, I have Dish TV, whether it's on my laptop, YouTube, you know, a tablet. All these different things are competing for people's time. And you have to realize that what they are doing is they're all trying to up their game all the time. And that's what you'll need to do. And Corey will be talking about the technical side on that. But think of that when you're doing this, how do you put out a presentation out there? How do you use the different tools? And then when you have those tools out there, are you looking at something that has entertainment value also to the people? Because they don't want just community service. They just don't want that. They want that entertainment value also. And you got to provide that to them, or else they may go, you know what? I haven't finished this Netflix series. I guess I'm gonna go do that instead. Or they may get up and they may just go do something else. So think about that, because that's your real competition. So how can you work on your content? Well, one of the things I think, and it's for a live meeting, online meeting, or a hybrid meeting, is have a PowerPoint to help out. You know, a lot of times people say, well, we don't like it. Well, there's a couple of great things you can do with PowerPoints. One is like before the meeting, or at a slow time in the meeting, maybe when people are eating, you could be showing all the good stuff that you did. So if someone comes to your meeting, they go, oh, wow, you may forget to tell them what you just did at the local school, or with the library or whatever. But if it comes up there and shows them, they may ask you, oh, what's that all about? What did you do there? Also, when you're talking about events, if you have it on PowerPoint, it can tell them the date, the location of those events, maybe pictures from previous years. And that's really important too, because when you think about it, if you just say, on April 1st, there's this meeting in Hawaii. It's like, oh, what did they say? When was that? And then they lose the next part of it, or maybe the value of it, or so on. So if you have it up there, they can look up there and go, oh, April 1st, 10 o'clock in the morning, I have to be here. And it just makes it simpler for them, make it easy for your guests to understand one. I'm a big believer in music. We just did a post-pets meeting and we integrated music. We had walk-on music, even though it was 100% a virtual meeting. It made it fun, lighthearted. And an amazing thing was, that was one of the best comments that we had, was we really enjoyed that. I had actually put it together and people wanted the song list, even though some of them were just snippets of different songs. They wanted to know what songs we were using on it. But it's something that makes it a little bit different, and again, adds some entertainment value into it. Think about it, when you watch the Oscars or some of the other shows, when anybody's walking in or coming up there, they got a little theme music going on with them. And the last thing is you can add videos. There's a lot of great videos you can use. You can use videos of a service project that you can put up there, as opposed to just pictures. And again, it can show those people more about your club, what you're doing, and how it's working. So hopefully those all make sense to you. I'm gonna be here now, and then after Corey's done talking. So if you have any questions now, I can answer them. If you want to wait till after Corey gives you all the great ways of actually putting together a hybrid meeting, I'll be around after that too. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ray. And I like how you have your Kukui nut lei, as well as your our Rotary district shirt on there. So thank you so much.
Well, I think this was given to me by you. That's why I'm wearing it.
Oh, thank you. Well, thanks again. And does anyone have any questions for Ray? Before we move on to Corey, does anyone have any questions? Feel free.
I have a question. What is the tool that you're using to present your slides, with the presentation in the background and your camera?
That's actually part of Zoom. If you go into where you share screens, you can go to the advanced section, you can have your PowerPoint come in behind you like that.
There's the
Thanks.
there's the whiz. Anyone have any other questions?
Oh, Lane, one thing is, if you do what I just did, there's two things that can't happen. You can't have music, or you can't have videos on that way. So you probably want to do it more conventionally if you're adding that to your presentations.
Oh, thanks, Ray. And Caroline said in chat, thank you so much, Ray. So yeah, thank you so much. Thanks again, Ray. And I guess, we'll move on to Corey. And again, Ray will be here after Corey's done for any other questions. And I would like to introduce Corey as well. Corey is the new club's task force chair for the Zone 27. He's an assistant Rotary coordinator. And Corey has, been working in media and marketing for over 20 years. He's the owner of Pardaman Productions, a media company in Olympia, Washington. And he served as District 5020, Membership Development Chair, Council Chair, Conference Co-Chair, New Club Advocate, Newsletter Editor, and PNW-Pets Training Leader. So he's been pretty busy all over the place. And Corey is also an active member of his community, but he devotes his time to many groups and projects like we all do, and has served on the board of the nonprofit Homeless Backpacks, which I looked it up and it's amazing, as well as the Olympia, Lacey, Tumwater, BCB, and Tumwater Chamber Boards. And he's been a member of the Rotary Clubs of Hawks Prairie for over 13 years as the president. He served in 2013, 2014, and he's a multiple Paul Harris Fellow and Paul Harris Society member. And he lives with his wife, Michelle, in Olympia, Washington. So thank you so much, Corey, for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me here today. I'm so glad to get the chance to talk to you about hybrid meetings or virtual in-person meetings, as you may hear them called. Again, my name is Corey Leparty. I wanted to make sure that you had my direct email if you have any questions. I am on the Expert Hub and I am available. We don't have as many tools up there on the Zone website for hybrid meetings as we used to, but you can always reach out to me and I'm happy to answer any of your questions. So today we're going to discuss different kinds of tech setups depending on your club's needs or a club's needs, and some tips for better hybrid meetings. So let's take a look at different setups you can use depending on your club size and needs. First is a simple setup. This setup is for small clubs, say under 20 members. It doesn't really require anything you don't already have. The members who feel comfortable meeting in person can just bring their own devices and you can log in just as if they were home. You just got to make sure that only one person has their audio on during that time. Otherwise, you can get a lot of feedback. So the next is a basic setup. You would use a projector and screen at your meeting venue like you probably already have. A couple of laptops. You can use a cell phone on a stand pointing at whoever is speaking, and then you log that into Zoom as well. You want to make sure that the speakers and people asking questions step up to the mic so that the at-home attendees can see and hear them. This setup works well for, say, a 20 to 30 member club range, or a club that has about 20 to 30 people that show up in person, as long as they're not actually having a meal at the same time. Now, the advanced setup you see here is from when Rotary One in Chicago was testing out hybrid meetings. Again, it's your typical projector and screen setup, but they also have multiple laptops, an audio and video mixture, cameras on tripods. This setup's going to require pre-meeting setup, a trained team, and a bit more that we'll talk about later. So the final setup that I've seen used is, say, if your venue or a member already has a conference room set up with the Zoom room camera. This can typically allow up to 10 or so people to be in person while viewing it. Home members are up on the LCD screen, and then the Zoom camera moves around automatically to focus on whoever's speaking. Now, because I do have video, I didn't do the screen thing that Ray did, but we're going to take a look at a demonstration of how you can have an interactive virtual in-person or hybrid meeting. The following video is material that I got from the Global Impact Group. I've edited it down for a longer demonstration video. It should give you an idea of the type of setup an average size club might use.
This video shows one of 35,000 Rotary Club meetings taking place every week in 190 countries around the world with our 1.2 million members, improving health, peace, our environment, education, and more.
Today is different, however. Today is a virtual in-person meeting. This means that members may participate from the safety of their homes while connecting and speaking with members who are present at the meeting.
The Global Impact Group has teamed up with La Miranda Sunrise Rotary Club in California to create this video and to include a lineup of world-renowned speakers to tell a story of inspiration and aspiration for global health.
By the end of this video, you'll see both the simplicity
and the power of virtual connectivity.
For ourselves, for our communities, and for the world. Let's join our virtual in-person club meeting.
Welcome Rotarians and guests, and greetings from La Miranda Sunrise Rotary Club at the garage of one of our members' homes. Today we have a landmark meeting for two reasons. First, we are being filmed to show how a virtual in-person meeting works. And second, we have a story of the history and future of public health with a group of world-renowned thought leaders joining us virtually across both space and time. I would like to introduce Jim Margroff to explain today's program and introduce our speaker.
Thank you, Conrad. The purpose of today's meeting is to show Rotary clubs around the world how easy it is to add virtual connection to your in-person meetings.
We start with our basic laptop, projector, speaker, and screen. We connect our laptop to our Zoom meeting. Then we plug in a high-quality microphone and a webcam facing our in-person members and guests. Finally, your president faces their laptop towards themselves, and a Zoom master, in person or virtual, runs the meeting. This is the setup we're using for this video. So in review, all that's needed to run a VIP meeting, beyond the laptop, speaker, projector, and screen that most clubs have, is a microphone, a webcam, a second laptop for the president, and a third laptop for a Zoom master. And note that the president or Zoom master could be physically present in the meeting or remote connected on Zoom. Now let's provide some detail on the mic and webcam. We recommend a Blue Yeti omnidirectional microphone. When centrally located, it can capture audio from anyone speaking in the room and is the only microphone used. We recommend a Logitech C920 webcam given its cost, resolution, and field of view positioned next to the screen. Now let's provide some detail on Zoom settings for the three laptops. The club laptop must be configured in Zoom to use the external webcam and microphone. The president's laptop should have its microphone on mute and audio off. The Zoom master should also have their microphone on mute and audio off. Finally, the club laptop should be set to speaker view within Zoom, and the president should be on Zoom speaker view. The magic in this setup is that the webcam and mic allow remote participants to see and hear all in-person members, and in-person members can see remote Zoom participants on the screen. Proper placement of the webcam and mic allow anyone in person to step forward facing the webcam and screen and speak to all virtual participants while also being seen on the screen by in-person participants. If a club wants to accommodate more than 50 or even 100 people, depending upon the number of Zoom participants, a more sophisticated configuration can be used.
As our clubs resume meeting in person, we must continue to provide virtual access to support our most vulnerable members and to open our doors for greater inclusion, embracing our interdependence and our power of our common Rotary voice.
So to reiterate, in this type of setup, you have a projector and a screen, a microphone connected to a laptop with a webcam so that you can see the in-person audience, and there's a speaker attached to the same laptop so that they can hear the people that are online. Now, for an alternative, some clubs use the Owl Labs camera in place of the webcam and microphone. It gives you multiple views in one device, but it does run about $1,000 US, so some clubs find that to be a little too expensive. Now we're going to take a look at how a club might evolve in their hybrid meetings over time. So this first phase, a club might start with a mic and webcam on the podium, and then they'd have a laptop and a projector in the room. This gives those at home the ability to view and hear what's going on in the meeting, and people at the meeting are able to see and hear what's online. We've got some closer shots here showing that mic and webcam, as well as you can see that's the view that the people online see of the person that's up on the podium. And then again, you have that laptop that is feeding to the screen. So in phase 2, a club might add a second webcam and a laptop so that those online can see more than just the speaker at the podium. And this is also when you might add in a third laptop for your Zoom host to interact with those that are online. So this setup is also allow for the club to take advantage of a remote speaker from time to time. You know, this club had, like, I think was the head of the library system remoted in and spoke to the club virtually. So in phase 3 of the hybrid evolution, a club would have in, say, a mobile camera with an operator. They might get a better mic system at the podium and include speakers in the room. And this allows members to truly interact during the meetings, where they're able to not only be there, not necessarily being there in person, but they're able to talk to people in the room, and those people in the room are able to talk back to them. So this is an image from the Oak Bay Rotary in 5020 when they were allowed to first have hybrid meetings. Sometimes back then, you know, we were limited in space, but when you're looking at whether or not to have hybrid meetings, you really should have a discussion and make sure that club members' needs are taken into account. You may need to make some changes to club policy on how you conduct your meetings, when you conduct them, or even kind of the procedure of the activities you have in your meetings so that they flow better for a hybrid meeting. So prior to holding hybrid meetings, you want to make sure to send out your meeting invites well in advance, especially if you're in a person, if your in-person meeting space is limited in attendance. You want to reach out to members who are Zooming to make sure they aren't having any difficulties. We still run into people who aren't fully up to speed on Zoom. And also you want to send out your agenda in advance so people who know at home, they can follow along and they can make sure that they're jumping in at the right time. And you definitely want to make sure that you test your setup well in advance. Now, this image is from a hybrid meeting I attended. It was, I think, last year. And as you can see in the bottom right, my experience wasn't great. I spent the whole meeting basically looking at the shoulder of somebody sitting at a table. They didn't have their camera set up right. They didn't reach out, and Catherine Smith didn't comment at all, so I don't even know if she was there enjoying the meeting or not, but it definitely wouldn't be the type of meeting that would, as Ray talked about, engage new members and be a good marketing piece. So just having the equipment is one thing. You really need to set it up in a way that it functions and works. So during your hybrid meeting, you want to be conscious to incorporate online members into the meeting. So make sure your speakers use the microphone. People often say, oh, you know, my voice is big enough that you can hear me. Well, it may be big enough in the room, but it's not big enough outside of the room, that's for sure. So they want to make sure that they use a microphone if you're doing any sort of hybrid. And we all know we want to make sure that you can see the whole room, right? You don't want to be at home sitting and wondering what's going on one side of the room or the other side of the room. So you want to place your camera in a way that you get a good view of the room, and use a camera that doesn't have a very narrow aspect ratio, but a much wider one. If you're going to have meals and background noise in the room, you want to make sure that you have a more advanced mic setup than that one in the video or the OWL system, because it will pick up all that noise. Remember to keep your presentation shorter than you might have in the past, especially if you've got a speaker that's attending virtually. And an interactive hybrid meeting is going to allow those online to see and hear everything going on in the room and express their thoughts as well. So you'll probably need to have a dedicated Ethernet connection to make sure your devices don't crash. And you want to make sure that your Zoom master acts as your virtual host and greeter, so that people that are logging in online don't feel like no one's paying attention to them, no one's seeing their chat comments. You know, I can see that Caroline and I think it is Alita went ahead and sent some chat comments in today. So that's the type of thing that you want your Zoom master to be paying attention to. And then try to avoid meeting elements that only work for in-person attendees. You know, if you have an element where everybody goes around and shakes each other's hand, maybe you don't use that element during a VIP meeting. If you have an element where you know, if your club is really big on eating meals, maybe have the meal prior to when you start the meeting so that your online attendees can attend after the in-person people have already eaten their meal and they've settled down to actually hear the speaker. So, yeah, thank you for allowing me to present today, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Corey. And, you know, yeah, please, anyone have any questions for Corey? He has so much information like Ray.
Speechless.
I think he answered all their questions. No, because I learned a lot from you with your hybrid meetings. But yeah, does anyone have any questions here for Ray or Corey here? All right. I guess not. I guess everyone doesn't have any questions because I think you covered it so well. That video that you showed, Corey, is that available on YouTube? Like,
yeah, that video is available on YouTube, and I think there's actually a shortened version of that, like a really introductory version that's on your guys' district website already. So,
well, thank you. You even did some research.
I did. I was trying to find photos of maybe some of your clubs that were doing some VIP meetings. I know the Honolulu club does it from time to time, but nobody takes any real pictures of it, it looks like. So I wasn't able to feature any District 5000 clubs in my presentation today, but I did my research. I tried. So,
Corey. And I guess Caroline said that Liz Kane has a wonderful option for Pauhana. And that's pretty cool. And I know Liz is, you know, she's done a lot with hybrid meetings and trying to get that up and running for a long time. Hey, oh, there's Liz.
Hi, guys. I promised Lane that I was going to stay quiet and just listen. So that's what I'm doing now. But thank you, Caroline. So.
Great.
Awesome.
Anyway.
Well, thank you folks so much. You know, Corey and Ray, so much for being here. And you know, I guess Vern said good info that he needs to get back with his board on where, you know, they need to go in the future. So thank you so much, Vern, for, you know, that comment. And Ted, you know, said that the Hilo Club also does hybrid meetings with a dedicated team and set of equipment. And, you know, Ted leads you know, has been leading our district for a long time with public image, and he has a company that does that as well. And he does a great job in marketing. And I guess Annie says Maui Sunrise does too. So that's awesome. But yeah, thank you folks so much. And I'm guessing, you know, I'll stop the recording here and, you know, you guys can, you know, take a break. We'll definitely have